Okay, beautiful people. Let's start seated. If you've got your blanket handy, you can sit on your blanket. And just find a position that feels fairly comfortable for your seated posture, whether that be sitting on your heels or sitting cross-legged. If you're cross-legged and you want to put some blocks underneath your knees, that's a nice way to just give yourself a little bit more support. We're going to begin with a little bit of intentional breathing. So I'll invite you to rest your hands down on your thighs and give yourself a few moments to ground here. So just simply feeling your body in space. Transitioning from whatever it is that you were doing before this practice into coming into this more introspective state. So a few really helpful ways of doing that is closing the eyes or letting your gaze become very relaxed and soft. Feeling the points of contact that your body is making with the ground beneath you. Noticing sensations that are very obvious that you notice right away, as well as sensations in the body that are a little bit more subtle or nuanced. You just scan your body and take notice and check in. And then adding intention to the breath. On your next inhale, feel your breath move down into your belly. I like to visualize pouring water into a glass. So you fill the bottom of the glass, the bottom of your torso first, and then the breath fills into the ribs and then up into the chest, filling to the top of the glass. And then as you exhale, try to breathe out from the bottom of the glass or the bottom of your body first. So your belly, then your ribs, then your chest. So breathing in, the belly expands, the ribs move outwards, the chest lifts. And then on your exhale, the navel draws gently back, the ribs softly close, and the chest gently drops. So breathing in this wave-like motion, down to up, and then down to up. Trying to get a full inhale and a full exhale. Beautiful. Take 3 more breaths like that. And if it feels comfortable for you, you can add just a little bit of constriction in the back of your throat. So these last 3 breaths are just gently audible. You can hear them just very softly. One more breath. And then let your breath come back to its more natural pace and rhythm. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed, or you can open them and just let your chin drop in down towards your chest. And as you breathe in, roll your right ear over your right shoulder. And as you exhale, soften your chin back down towards your chest. As you inhale, roll your left ear over your left shoulder. And exhale your chin towards your chest. Now, if you like, you can stick with this kind of U shape, or if you're wanting to get a little bit more of your full range, you can do a full circle with your head. So lifting the chin up, the nose up, carving a line over to the other side, and continuing your circle from there. Soft breath, relaxed face. If you are taking circles, when you're ready to start to switch and go the other way, making sure that things are feeling okay. It doesn't need to feel, or there shouldn't be feeling as though there's any pain. It might feel a little bit uncomfortable at times, but no pain is the goal here. Finish the circle that you're on or the U shape that you're making. Let your chin soften back down towards your chest. And then slowly lift your gaze up to neutral. If you've been sitting cross-legged, switch the cross of your legs. If you've been sitting on your heels, you can stay as you are. You're gonna bring your shoulder, keep your hands down on your thighs or your knees, and bring your shoulder blades forward, the tips of your shoulders forward. And then start to lift them up so they're towards your ears. Keep them up, but slide your shoulders back. And then keep them back, but lower them down. And then keep them down, but bring them forward. And do that again a couple of times, making kind of a square. So you're really trying to get your full range here, going down and forward and up and back. Good. And then one circular motion. So just try to kind of carve out those edges, smooth out the edges. And then we're going to go the opposite way. So you'll lift your shoulder blade, your shoulders up, bring them forward, drop them down, slide them back. So starting off with kind of the square, trying to get that full range in your square. Good. And then kind of smooth out the edges. Take a full circle with the shoulders all the way forward and around. And then just let the shoulders drop down and do a couple of lifts and lowers. So just lift up, drop down, lift up, drop down. 3 more, 2 more, 1 more. Got a little bit of rotation for the spine. You're gonna inhale both of your arms up towards the sky. Now, as you exhale, just your arms are gonna move. Your chest is gonna face forward for now. You're gonna drop your left hand down onto your right knee. If you need to catch your knee, lift your knee higher, you can. And then right fingertips are gonna come to the earth behind you. If you were sitting up in a kneeling position, that's fine too. Just hand on the opposite knee. Then sit really tall again, take an inhale, bring your attention to your belly. And then as you exhale, first think about your abdomen twisting. So your belly button's gonna move towards the right. Then your ribs are gonna move towards the right. And then your chest will move towards the right. And then finally, your gaze can look back behind you. Now stay in your twist, but on your inhale, think about sitting a little bit taller. And then on your exhale, think navel twists more to the right, ribs twist more to the right, chest twists more to the right, and then finally the gaze goes back. We'll do that one more time. So you're staying in your twist, you're just sitting really tall, inhale. Exhale, think about your navel twisting backwards, your ribs twisting back in space, your chest, and then finally your head, your neck. On your next inhale, unravel, come to face back forward, reach your arms up towards the sky. Nice job. As you exhale, just your arms are gonna find their placement. So right hand to left knee, left fingertips to the floor behind you. Start off sitting really tall as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, think of the lowest part of your torso first. So your belly button's gonna turn to the left, then your ribs turn to the left, then your chest turns to the left, and then your gaze can move back. Your inhale, you stay in your twist, but you sit a little taller. Your exhale, think navel, ribs, chest, and then neck. One more time, inhale for length. Exhale, even if it's just an internal sensation, you're twisting the bottom to the middle to the top. Good, and then on an inhale, slowly unravel, reach both of your arms up towards the sky, bring your palms to interlace, and exhale your hands down in front of your chest. Hold on to your own hand as you start to roll out your wrists. Notice which way you're rolling, and then see if you can roll the other way. Good. And then give your hands a little bit of a shake out. We're gonna come onto our hands and knees, tabletop position. If you've got a blanket, you can rest your knees on the blanket, give yourself a little bit more cushion. If you've got blocks, have them towards the top of your mat. If you don't have blocks, it's not the end of the world. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. We're gonna pay close attention to our hands here. So look down at your fingers. Have your index finger pointing straight forward. So that's gonna give a little bit of external rotation in your shoulders. And then spread your fingers as wide as you can. So even like push more weight into the heel of your hand so your fingers lift up off the ground, and spread your hands, spread, 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 spread. Bring your fingers back down onto the ground, and then just soften that a little bit. So there's a lot of space in between your fingers, but you're not overdoing it. Now push down into the pads of your fingers. So that's like if you're putting a fingerprint on something, that part of your finger, and then pull that part of your finger back in space. So if you look at your nails and you're not wearing nail polish, the nail beds should be turning white. So it's you're kind of imagining that there's something underneath your mat and you're trying to grab it. Good, so you should be feeling even distribution of weight in your hands. Now, feel like you're trying to open a jar with your right hand. So you're turning your right hand to the right, but obviously your hand isn't moving because you're on the ground. And then left hand, you're opening a jar to the left. So there's this little bit of a spiral of your triceps. They're going to point back, and the elbows, if you were to give them a baby bend, they're going to be pointing back behind rather than out to the side. Keep that. Start to take an inhale and drop your abdomen low, lift your tailbone, reach your heart forward, and feel like you're pulling your hands towards your knees. So traction in the spine. As you exhale, curl your tailbone under. Keep the grip of your finger pads, and then push into your hands as you round your back. Let's do that again. Inhale, the tail starts to lift. Still feel like you're gripping into the mat and you're opening up those jars, open across the chest. And then exhale, curl the tailbone under. You've still got all that awareness in your hands. Your hands are probably fatiguing. We'll go one more time and we'll get off our hands, give them a break. So inhale, open up, feel like you're pulling your heart forward so your hands are isometrically pulling towards your knees. And then as you exhale, curl your tailbone under, push into your hands, round through your upper back. As you inhale, come to neutral, sit back on your heels for a moment, come off of your hands, give them a little bit of a shake out. You can open and close your hands a couple of times, roll your wrists around a couple of times. So just as another visual, when we're doing that with our hands, imagine the block was the floor. You're pushing your finger pads, so this is the under part of your nails down, and it's like you're trying to grab something underneath. So the mid part of your knuckles might be coming up a little bit, but the heel of your hand and the base of your knuckles should be on the ground. So that's what it will kind of look like if you're able to see that. Okay, so once you've given your hands a little bit of a break, we're gonna come onto our forearms, so we'll still give the hands a break. Elbows are gonna come down. You're gonna take your right knee, float it up off the ground, and then reach your right knee in towards your chest, or pull your right knee in towards your chest. So this is hip flexion. You're flexing through your hip. And then keep the knee pulled in, but lift the knee up. So you're externally rotating. And then you're going to keep the knee up, but start to point the knee more back. So it turns toward, or faces towards the back of your room. So the knee is still lifted. And then you're going to internally rotate here, meaning your knee is going to point down and then it's going to cross. So it's going to point towards the left. Your right toes are pointing towards the right. And then pull your right knee towards the back of your left knee. So you're internally rotated and you're attempting to flex through your hip. We're going to do the same motion backwards now. So your knee is internally rotated, your thigh is internally rotated. Lift your leg bone up, you're still internally rotated. And then from your lifted position, externally rotate. So now your knee is going to wing over, or it's going to point towards the right. The toes are pointing to the left. Now pull your right knee over towards the right shoulder. And then bring the knee towards the right, or the inside of the chest. Whew, and then bring the knee down to the ground. We're gonna do that with the left side. So you're gonna pull your left knee in towards your chest. This is hip flexion. And then keep the flexion, but lift the left knee up so you're externally rotated. Keep the external rotation, but now push the knee back in space. So now you're in hip extension. Hold there for a moment. Keep the knee as high as it is. Just internally rotate your thigh bone, meaning your knee is going to point to the right. Your toes are going to point to the left. Your knee is still lifted. And then start to pull your left knee towards your right knee. So you're attempting to bring your hip back into flexion, but your right leg is in the way. We're going to repeat that on the way backwards. So the left knee lifts. You're still in that internal rotation. The knee is lifted. You're going to externally rotate. So now the knee is still behind you. The thigh bone is pointing now, or the knee is pointing to the left, the toes are pointing to the right. Now pull your left knee in towards the left rib cage. Hip flexion and extension, or hip flexion and external rotation. And then pull the left knee in towards the chest. And then drop the knee down back to where it started from. Sit back on your heels, come up for a moment. Take a round of breath. A little bit of core work there for you. Okay, then from here, we're gonna bring our hands back on the floor, same placement. Every time your hands are on the floor, index fingers forward, you're gripping the mat, you're imagining you're opening jars, okay? Hands down, grip the mat, open your jars, tuck your toes, take an inhale. As you exhale, slowly hips lift up and then push your hips back so you're in your downward facing dog. Adjust your feet as needed so they're about hips distance apart. Push into your hands like you're trying to not only push away from the mat, but push your hands forward so your hips move further back in space. Now, bend your knees a lot so your heels come up off of the ground. And then think about lifting your tailbone even higher. So you're pushing into your hands, your hips are lifting higher, you're gripping into the mat with your hands, and you're imagining you're opening those jars. Now root your heels down towards the ground. Doesn't matter if they touch, but get as heavy as you can through the back of the heels. Now imagine you could lift your toes up off of the ground. That's how much your heels are heavy. Maybe your toes actually do lift up off the ground. No worries if they don't, just imagine they could. Good, we're gonna do that 2 more times. So you're gonna bend your knees a lot. Think about lifting your hips higher. Like if there was a rope around your waist and someone was lifting you up towards the sky. And then start to heavy your heels down so much so that your toes, imagine they could lift up off the ground. You're still pushing into your finger pads. You're imagining you're opening those jars. Good, let's do that again. Bend your knees a lot. Lengthen your spine, your hips lift up, you're pushing into your mat. Good, and then lower your heels down so much so that your toes, maybe they come up a sliver of space. Take a breath in. Stay for your breath out. Walk your feet towards your hands, come to the top of your mat. As you come to the top of your mat, let yourself kind of forward fold for a moment. Bend your knees as much as you like. Let your head relax. And then slowly roll yourself up to standing. Take your time. As you come up, and shrug your shoulders towards your ears. Take a few moments just to get yourself in your neutral standing position. I have a sneeze coming. Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So if you have blocks, you can do this with blocks. If you don't have blocks, not a big deal. You're just going to imagine you have blocks. You're going to grab for your blocks if you have blocks. Again, if you don't, just use your imagination. That's fine. So we've done this in class a lot. So if you have been in class, you know what we're doing. Don't grip your blocks, just let your blocks be really balanced on your hands. Elbows are going to be by your ribs. You're going to stand nice and tall. Your blocks or your imaginary blocks are out in front of you, and you're going to externally rotate. So your arms go wide, but your elbows stay in. Your hands go wide, your elbows stay in, and then bring it back towards center. We'll just do that a couple of times. So this action is happening from your shoulder or from your humerus, your arm bone, moving in your shoulder socket. Good. And the next time that your arms are out, we're going to keep them there for a moment. Really feel like you're pulling your thumbs back in space. So feel like as your thumbs go back in space, your chest is starting to open a little bit more. You're feeling a broadness across the collarbones. Good. Now we're going to lift the blocks up into the air and turn the hands, the fingers, to face each other. So thumbs are forward, pinkies are back. Good. And then start to turn the other way. So now your fingers are pointing the opposite away from one another, and bend your elbows. So your elbows pull back in towards your chest. So just a little bit of coordination here. We're gonna do that a little bit faster. So lift up, turn your fingers to face each other, and then turn your fingers to face away and come back into that first position. Good, twice more. Up, turn fingers in, point fingers out, come back into that first position. Good, last one. Up, turn fingers in, turn fingers out, back to your first position. Hold your first position, take another inhale. Now, as you exhale, turn your fingers to face forward and then internally rotate. So your elbows are gonna wing out now, and the top end of your block is gonna attempt to come onto the inside of your ribs. It depends on the length of your arms, it depends on the length of your blocks, depends on a lot of things. So if it doesn't feel like it's happening, no big deal, just attempt, and then you're gonna go back into that first position. Good, and then back into your internal rotation. So your elbows lift, your fingers face each other, and then external. Whew. My shoulders are burning, my forearms are warm. One more time, internal. Good, external. Now last little add-on here, I'm just gonna turn to the side. You're gonna do internal rotation. You might need to do one at a time. You're gonna swing your hands back. Try not to lead your chest forward. Try to stay lifted with your chest. Your arms reach back behind you. Nice, and then come back through to that first external rotated position. And then back into your internal rotation, arms go back. And it's okay if you're moving around a little bit, but try not to compensate in other parts of your body. Try to keep it just in the arms. One more time. Internal rotation. Good. And then external rotation. And then you can let the blocks go. You're just going to put them towards the top of your mat. Give your hands a little shake out. Nice job. So we're going to spend a little bit more time on the hips here. Come to the top of your mat. Take an inhale to reach your arms up towards the sky. As you exhale, fold over your legs. Come on down. Slide your hands to your shins, lift up just halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the floor or grab your blocks. Step just your right foot back and then land your knee down on your blanket. So this is going to take a couple of moments to set up. If you're not using blocks, again, it's not the end of the world. Come up onto your fingertips, give yourself some more space. I want you to walk your back knee as far back as you can comfortably, still keeping your left knee over your left ankle. Okay, you're going to soften the back of the top of your right foot down on the ground. And feel as though you are trying to bring your right hip forward and push your left hip back. So it should feel like there's kind of a gathering in of your inner thighs. There should be feeling like some engagement in your left hamstring and the front of your right hip. So it's an active shape here. You're pulling everything towards the center. And then you're going to relax that. So just let everything kind of like it's just going to soften away. And then you're going to do that again. Pull everything in. It might not look like there's a lot happening on the outside, but feel the contraction. Pull the left foot back, pull the right knee forward, and then relax. Do that a couple times at your own pacing. So your inhale is when you gather everything in. It should feel tight and strong. And then on your exhale, you're kind of softening. And over time, you may feel that you're able to move your right knee further back, your left foot further forward. A couple more times. Inhale, gather in. Exhale to relax. Last two. Last one. Okay, we're not done on this side. A little bit more effort we're gonna be doing with our hip flexor here. So you're gonna walk your right knee in just a little bit, like I'm talking half an inch, okay? You want just a little bit less space here. Back toes are untucked again. You're gonna drive into the top of your right foot. So your right knee lifts. You're on the top of your right foot and you're stretching your right ankle. And then you're gonna lower the back knee down again and just relax. Again, push down into your right top of the foot so your knee lifts. And then relax it down. That's tough. Couple more. Push down as you inhale. So the top of your right foot is pushing into the ground to lift your right knee. And then exhale the right knee down. Relax your hip. Last one. Inhale, push down. Exhale to relax. Nice job. Now tuck your right toes under, lift the knee up. Walk your foot a little closer in so you feel like you're balanced. You can come up on a higher setting of your blocks if you like, or fingertips are great. If you don't have blocks, that's fine. Start to straighten your left leg. Your right heel is lifted. Both of your legs are straight-ish. They don't have to be completely straight, but straighten them as best as you can. Take a look at your feet. They should be hips distance apart, so not on a tightrope. And then feel your left hip bone move back in space. So that should feel like your low back just lengthened. And then imagine again that same thing that we did at the very beginning where you felt like you were pulling your left leg back and your right leg forward. Do that here. So it should feel kind of uncomfortable. We're working end range tissues, and then just relax that for a second. Again, pull towards the center, like you're trying to squish your mat towards the middle, like you're trying to pull it towards one another, and then relax that. And then one more time, pull everything towards the center. This is core work as well. And then relax it. Good. Now take a bend into your left knee, hop your right foot up to meet your left foot. Stand up and just notice if you feel any difference from one side of your body to the other. I do. My right hip flexor feels much more open. So I'm just going to switch sides. You can stay as you are. Take a sip of water if you like. Stuff is not easy, so good job. We're going to meet back at the top of the mat. Take a big inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky. As you exhale, fold over your legs. Slide your hands to your shins as you breathe in, lengthen across the chest. Exhale, hands to floor or blocks. Step your left foot way back. Lower the back knee down to the ground. Ensure that your right foot and your left knee are hips distance apart, so you've got that space. Your right knee and ankle are in line with one another. And you're scooching your left leg as far back as you can, getting as much space in your left hip flexor as you can. You can hold on to the blocks however you like for this first set, whatever you want to do. You're going to begin by squeezing towards the midline. So your right heel and your left knee, it's like you're trying to touch them together. Squeeze in and then relax. Inhale, squeeze in, like you're pulling the mat towards the center. It should feel strong, active, maybe slightly uncomfortable. And then your exhale. Every time you do the squeeze in, really gather towards the midline, inner thighs, pelvic floor, core. And then on your exhale, you're softening everything and maybe walking the left knee a little further back. So getting a little bit more length into your hip flexor. A couple more times. And from the outside, it might not look like you're doing a lot, but you know on the inside, you feel a lot. I'm sweating. Couple more. Inhale, pulling in. Right hamstring is engaged. Left hip flexor. And then exhale, relax. It's isometric movement or isometric contraction. 2 more. Last one. Pulling towards the center. Oh, and then relaxing. Oh my goodness. Okay, now if you did move your left knee further back a little bit and you want to give it a little bit more room or give yourself a little bit more softness, you can just walk the knee a little closer in. Now the top of the foot, we're going to push down to lift the back knee. So push down, lift up, and then lower the back knee down. Again, drive into the top of the foot. Your ankle should feel a stretch. And then relax. A couple more times, and you can do this on whatever setting of your blocks feels good. Push down, and then lower down. 3 more. Push, squeeze in, and relax. 2 more. Last one. This one's way tighter on me, so maybe you're feeling the same. Relax. Okay, tuck your left toes under, lift the knee up, lift the foot or lift the knee, lift your heel. Find that your feet are hips distance apart and you're up on your left heel, or your left heel is up off the ground. So you're on your tippy toes of your left foot. Your legs are straight-ish and you're thinking about your left hip moving backwards a little bit in space. So feel like your low back is lengthening. And then again, whatever setting of your blocks feels good for you. Want you to feel like your right foot and your left foot could touch. Pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in, pull in. and then relax. Again, pull in, pull in, pull in, and relax. 3 more times. Pull in and relax. Last 2, pull in and relax. Last 1, pull in and relax. Whew. Bend your right knee, step your left foot up to meet it. Slowly stand. Take a moment, take a sip of water if you need it. Feel into your hips. How are they doing? Feeling awake? All right, nice work. So we'll meet back at the top of the mat. Take an inhale, reach your arms up towards the sky, big stretch. As you exhale, fold over your legs, come on down. Inhale, slide your hands to your shins, lift up halfway, lengthen across your spine. Exhale, hands to the floor or block, step your right foot back. You're back in your lunge, lower your back knee down to the ground. This time you're gonna come up into a kneeling position. So I want your right knee to be closer towards you. So it's more of like a 90-90 with the legs. So that means when you come up, your right hip and your right knee are stacked. Okay, it's not like a more stretchy lunge. It's more of just like a neutral position. Your back toes, you can have them tucked or untucked, doesn't matter. Your left foot is underneath your left knee. So just take a look at your own alignment, and then inner thighs kind of gather in just to help keep yourself supported here. You're gonna do a little bit of stuff with the shoulders. So you're gonna find your neutral position with your lower body. Feel the length of your spine. Reach your right arm up towards the sky. Your bicep is by your ear, so your thumb is pointing back. Then bend your elbow so your hand moves behind your neck or behind your head. Pause there. Notice if you started to round or if your head started to lower, lift your head up, get really neutral through your spine. Keep your right hand where it is. Bring your left hand off to the side with your thumb pointing down. Keep everything the same with your legs. Bend your left elbow so the back of your left hand comes behind your low back. Nothing changes with your spine, nothing changes with your legs. See if you can walk your left hand a little bit higher so your fingers are towards one another. Maybe they come closer towards one another, maybe they touch, maybe they're nowhere close. Doesn't matter. I want you to feel length in your spine, inner thighs gathering in, both sides of your body nice and long. Doesn't matter if you can touch your fingers or not, just be wherever you are. Another round of breath. Beautiful. Keep your right arm as it is. Take your left hand, release it from your low back, bring it onto your right elbow. Now push just gently onto your right elbow so your right hand moves down your spine. And then keep your left hand on your elbow, but push now your elbow into your hand. Nothing will move, but push your elbow into your hand and then relax that. And then do that twice more. Push your elbow into your hand and relax it. And then push your elbow into your hand and relax it. Both arms reach towards the sky, inhale. Exhale, both hands come down to the floor or your blocks. We're gonna switch out the legs. Whew. Hello, quad. My legs are sore from yesterday's class. If Val, I don't know if you're sore too, but yesterday's class kicked my butt. Okay, so right knee underneath or on top of right ankle, left knee is underneath your left hip. Adjust yourself so you're in your 90-90 lunge. Your hips are side by side, so you're kind of squeezing everything towards the midline. A nice indicator, I'm just gonna turn towards you, I'm not mirroring you, but a good indicator if your hips are side by side is to bring your hands to your hips and notice, is your left hip way higher than your right hip? Can you bring your hips in line with one another? So both of your hips feel like they're side by side. So you'll need to engage through the inner thighs, pelvic floor, spine, nice and tall, okay? So feel that your hips stay in neutral, your torso is nice and upright. You're gonna reach your left arm up towards the sky, bicep by the ear, and then take a bend in your left elbow. Nothing else changes. Your hands behind your head or behind your neck, behind your upper back. Low belly stays hugged in, hips stay side by side. Right arm reaches off to the side, thumb is pointing down. Just bend your right elbow so the back of your hand comes behind your low back. Nothing changes. Just walk your hand up higher, as high as it can go for your body without forcing, without using any extra assistance. Just walk it up as high as it can go without compensating. Don't arch your back, don't round your spine, stay really neutral. Keep pointing the left elbow up, the right elbow down as best you can. Inner thighs stay gathering in, breathe. Keep thinking about your left fingers trying to reach your right fingers and your right fingers trying to reach your left fingers. Good, last breath here. Keep your left arm exactly as it is. Unwind your right arm, bring your right hand on top of your left elbow. Try to stay really tall through your spine, head is lifted. Now push your left elbow into your right hand, like you were trying to push your hand away. And then relax that. And then push your elbow into your hand. There's resistance. And then relax it. And then again, push your elbow into your hand. And then relax it. Bring both arms up towards the sky, breathe in. Exhale your hands down onto your blocks or the floor. Step your right foot back, come into a tabletop position. Bring your hands down onto the ground. When you have your hands on the floor, your index fingers are forward, you're gripping into the mat, you're evening out the weight in your hands. So a lot of the times there's, people that have wrist pain in yoga, it's because a lot of people will dump into the carpal, into the wrists. So even out the weight, put that weight into your finger pads. Curl your toes under, take an inhale. As you exhale, lift your hips up and back into your down dog. Now just feel into this down dog, just exploring sensation in your body, feeling that grip of the hands, that feeling like you're trying to open up the jars with your hands, the lift of the hips, the length of the backs of your legs. Take an inhale all the way in. Stay for your exhale. One more just like that. Inhale deeply. Think about lifting your hips a little higher. Exhale a little longer through the mouth. Think about your hips, your heels heavying down towards the mat. Good. Lower your knees back down to the floor. Knees are going to stay underneath or on top of your hips. We're going to go into kind of an active side puppy pose. So the way this is going to work is you're going to take your left hand off of your mat over to the left side a little bit. Your left fingers are pointing just slightly to the left, so a little bit of a bigger external rotation. Your right hand is going to turn, so your thumb is pointing up. The pinky edge side of your hand is going to be towards the top left corner of your mat. You're going to start to push the pinky edge side of your hand down, and then your forearm down, and then feel like your hips are getting pulled backwards and to the right. Now, you're kind of in this like side puppy pose, but we're going to make it more active. So I want you to push down into your right forearm, so much so that you're kind of attempting to do like an upper back rounding, like you're trying to get away from the ground. So you're pushing into the ground with your right forearm. You're simultaneously pulling your hips back in space and you're rounding your back. Keep that activation just for a breath in. And then as you exhale, be more passive, relax, let your ribs come closer to the ground. Your face might come closer to the ground. Everything softens down. We're going to do that twice more. As you inhale, push into your right forearm, round your back, kind of like you're doing an angry cat. Push your hips back and slightly to the right. You can use your left hand to help kind of keep yourself in this position, left hand on the floor. And then relax. Chest comes closer. Your hips are still lifted. One more time like that. Drive into your right elbow like you're trying to get away from the ground. Low back rounds, mid back rounds, low belly hugs in. Push your hips back. Take an inhale. Exhale to relax. Good. You can slide your right hand back, come to sit on your heels for a moment. You can take a few rolls of your shoulders or just sit in neutral for a second. Notice how you feel along that right side body. You might be feeling quite a bit different sensation along your lat, your waist, your hip. in comparison to the left side. Take one more breath here in the middle. And then to set up for your second side, you're gonna lift back up. So your knees are underneath your hips. Your right hand walks just a little bit to the right side. Your fingers are turned more towards the right. Your left hand reaches towards the top right corner of your mat. Your pinky finger is down. Now you're gonna let your forearm come down, but keep pushing down into your left pinky edge side of your hand, your forearm. Push your hips back in space, round through your upper back. So think of like angry cat pose. Push away everywhere that's in contact with the floor. Hold there for an inhale. And then as you exhale, let yourself be passive. So you kind of just let your shoulder, your chest, your face come closer to the ground. Your hips still stay lifted. Again, drive into your left elbow, left forearm, round through your upper back. Feel like there was a string tied to your hips and they were getting pulled slightly back, so towards your heels, and a little bit to the left. Hold there for an inhale. And then exhale, relax. Oh, just let your shoulder relax, let your chest relax. Again, drive into that left forearm, round through your spine, push your hips back in space, engage your core, take a big inhale. And then as you exhale, soften, relax. Whew. One more time with that one. Here we go. Your next inhale, push down into your forearm, round through your back, low belly hugs in, push your hips back in space. Take another inhale. And exhale, relax. Oh, that's tough. Slowly slide yourself back so you're sitting on your heels. Your hands can come down to your thighs. Take a shoulder roll forward, up, back, and down. Feel from one side of your body to the other. A deep breath in and a deep breath out. And from here, we are coming onto our back. So you can scoot your way down, find your way onto your spine. As you come onto your back, you're going to bring your knees in towards your chest to start. Give them a squeeze, a little rock side to side. Giving your sacrum a bit of a massage. Nice, and then take your knees a little wider. You can stay here or you could explore happy baby, taking hold of your ankles or the outside edge of your foot. Maybe a little rock side to side if that feels good for you, or you could play around with attempting to straighten one of your legs and then the other. Little dancing happy baby, rocking side to side. And then you can start to explore any other movements that your body might be craving in this moment. Maybe putting on a layer of clothing, socks, sweater, dimming lights, the things you like to do to get yourself into eventually Shavasana and feel that you're able to just completely soften and relax. So take your time to get there. Eventually, as you arrive in your neutral position, I'm gonna finish off with that same breath work that we did at the beginning. So find your ultimate cozy position. I like to rest my right hand on the lower abdomen and the left hand over the chest, the heart. If you like, you can do the same. Give your head a final rock side to side to find a nice comfortable resting spot for the back of the skull. And then soften the skin around the eyes. Relax the cheeks and the jaw. Feel this wave of relaxation rippling throughout your body. Allowing your physical form to be effortless and at ease. Become aware of your breath. The natural rise and fall of the chest and the belly. And begin to manipulate your breath just ever so softly, breathing down into the belly first, then the ribs, then the chest, and then breathing out, belly drops, ribs soften, chest relaxes. Breathe into belly, ribs, chest. Breathe out, belly, ribs, chest. And try to smooth it out. Watching the ebb and the flow of the breath. And take a few more rounds and then just naturally and spontaneously let your breath come back to its more natural pace and rhythm. And bring your attention back to your body. Take a little scan from the tips of your toes to the top of your head. And slowly, gradually, and lovingly start to bring some movement back into your body. And over time, as your movements get bigger, your breath can deepen. And you can pick a side to roll onto and just rest there for a moment. Then start to climb your way up to your seat, finishing in whatever seated posture allows you to feel length and pride. And sitting tall, beautiful posture, shoulders back, heart lifted. And close our practice by bringing hands together at the heart and saying a big thank you to yourself, your body, however that resonates with you. for every single day of your life, you're in this body. It's the only one you got, and it's the only one of its kind. So sending some love and appreciation to each part of your body, using loving language and being kind to our bodies. It's one true home. And thank you so much for choosing to practice embodied movement, mobility, freedom with me today. Namaste. Thank you so much, my friends. It means the world to me that you are here, there,